Hey, everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I'm your host, Jennifer Snook. I am so happy to be here with you today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been going on in mine. And let me tell you guys, it's been quite a week. So I spent most of it in court. We spent most of it in court against our landlord, or I probably should say slumlord. That's probably more appropriate. So let me just tell you, there was a lot of back and forth. And when we left court, this week, we had a court date to go to a trial by jury, basically because I know that a jury would have sided with us. So I was fully prepared to go to a jury trial. And then 2 days later, we get a call, you guys, from the attorney who says that the slumlord folded and basically the whole thing is a moot point. So there is no trial by jury and that whole nightmare is over, thank God. And so now we have a move out date of this house that we have been in for 12 years. So now I need to start packing like immediately because you know how long it takes. You always think it's going to take this long. You're like, oh, it should take, 3 days or whatever, but 3 days. At the end of 3 days, you always wish you had 3 more days, and then you wish you had 3 days on top of that. So anyway, point is, I need to get my ass in gear. Also, we have found a new place, a really cute new place. We'd looked at so many places, and there really just hasn't been anything that I have found that I was excited about moving to until yesterday. So we're going to look at it again today just to make sure, and I am excited because there is a dedicated studio in it, you guys. So it's perfect for generally speaking stuff, perfect for the pod, and perfect for this other project that I have brewing that I have yet to tell you guys about, but I promise it's coming soon. But trust me when I tell you there are big things brewing. Speaking of big things brewing, let's call Christy because we've got a lot to talk about. Hi, Sugar Pie. You're looking very summery.
Good morning.
Cheers. We missed you last week.
Yeah, Truckee was awesome. It was a last minute trip too. My bestie got home from Europe and she said, it's too hot in the Bay Area. We're going to Truckee. Do you want to leave at 10? And this was at 7 a.m., 4th of July. And I said, yes. So we went to the Bar of America, went to a cover band concert that sang Sheila E. I saw friends, ate, drank, went on a walk, and the neighbor said, watch out, there's a bear at the end of the street trying to get into someone's boat. And I thought we would turn around and go back. No, Brianna says, oh, okay. And we just walked on with the dog. So.
But most importantly, was it cooler than the Bay?
A little bit, not as much, but it was
greener.
Yeah, 5 degrees maybe, but yeah, it was beautiful,
Well, it's been so hot around here that 5 degrees, in LA, it has been blazing saddles.
Yeah, here too.
So where should we start? Do you have any Jeff Lewis juice to catch us up on?
Yeah, Jeff Lewis is feuding with Christy Lamas, his friend that was in the feud, accusing Heather McDonald of stealing the earring. That she said that Christy Lamas said they were real, but she bought them at Revolve for $45 and Jeff got involved. Well, anyways, he's fought with her. He's defriended her twice and came back. And in this time, she's having boob implant issues. And she's accusing his daughter, Monroe, who's 7 years old, of popping her implant while they were screwing around.
So you're telling me that now she thinks Jeff's on the hook to fix her boob?
Yeah. And he had Dr. Donna on, his therapist, the other day on the show, and he's talking about how he's letting her go. He says she does, she's drugged, she's booze, and he's not going back.
And looks like constantly one of those people that are blaming other people for her problems. Yeah. I have a busted boob and I'm going to blame Monroe,
who's 7 years old.
And I feel like how much damage can Monroe do?
And my girlfriend and I were talking about this in Truckee, and I said, does this happen? I never hear anyone saying their boobs have been popped by, I know it happens, but
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it would take something more extreme than maybe wrestling with a 7-year-old, because it's not like I doubt she put on a stiletto heel and kicked her in the tit,
Slammed it in the door.
Yeah, exactly. So he's dropping Christy Lamas. Officially no longer friends.
She's done. And Justin Martindale, who used to be on Heather's show a lot, when they had their feud, he jumped to Jeff's show, and he's been on the extended a lot, and him and Krista are really tight. So I'll bet Justin's not going to be on the show anymore either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
oh, the dynamics are shifting.
Yeah, so that's what's
will this open up and make way for a bridge between Heather and Jeff again?
I don't think so. She talks about it on her Patreon a lot, and it really hurt her. And she thinks he has a big.
You listen to her Patreon?
Oh yeah, yeah. Patreon's the greatest. That's where you get all the dirt. So, and she's in Capri right now. P.S. But anyway, she always talks about it, and she think he had his falling out with Julie and Brandy. She thinks he's got a bad deal with women, so she won't go back.
She won't go back. Sounds like a scorned woman. Not her sounding like a scorned woman, but just how many scorned women. I'm never going to go back. And then, they're back 48 hours later.
Right.
Did you hear that Rachel Leviss, I don't know whose podcast she was on, but I heard the audio clip of her talking about how she misses everyone on the cast. Did you hear that?
Wow.
She misses everyone on the cast of Vanderpump Rules. Everyone, she's going through them, and she's like, oh, I feel like I would kind of relate to Lala now.
Yeah, I did. And she said she misses Sheena.
She misses Sheena, hanging out with Sheena and her daughter. The only one she said that she didn't miss was James, which I thought was really telling. The only one, she didn't even say Sandoval. She said James.
Wow, who she had a tumultuous relationship with.
But isn't that funny? I mean, it really can't be any coincidence because, VPR is now off. We don't know. We don't even know if it's coming back at this point, but it's clearly off the air right now. So I don't know. I have not listened to her podcast. Have you?
No.
I just don't know what she's talking about. And I just feel like I wouldn't be surprised if her revenue sources are drying up. And now suddenly she misses everyone at the show, just in case if the show does come back.
She can walk back.
Her re-entrance into the show could be a reason enough to keep VPR going, to just kind of extend that.
Exactly. So many of us would tune in. I did see a clip where she's asking, I think it's this week's podcast that she does, and she's having people ask questions, and people are asking about Tom. When did you get sober? All the Vanderpump stuff. So she is. So I'll bet what you're saying is.
Yeah, she's definitely trying to dip her toe back. Oh, actually, before we get into reality, we really should dip into J-Lo and Ben have officially put their house on the market publicly. Before it was just like a pocket listing, but now it is on the market, which is just sad news for those two. It really is, because I was really cheering for them. But you know what? I walked into the room the other day and Mike was watching the Kevin Hart interview. He does like a podcast. Have you seen the Kevin Hart show? It's like an in-person podcast, right? Oh, speaking of in-person podcasts, I got a message from my Carly the other day saying that she got a thank you from you for the information that she dropped you, right? Yeah.
I ordered a microphone.
For the microphone information that she dropped you, right?
Helping me upgrade my life.
Yeah, she's helping you upgrade your life. But now we can tell everybody that the reason our Christy needs to upgrade her life is because we are going to be doing, is it next week?
No, it's the last Friday of this month.
The last Friday of this month. Ladies and gentlemen, we are doing an in-person podcast. I'm driving up to the Bay. Christy's driving over to my family's house, and we are going to do it in person together, which means that it could end up being 5 or 6 hours, because how much time did we spend on the phone the other night?
Okay. Jen called me 2 nights ago. We spoke for 3 hours and 24 minutes. I took a screenshot and sent it to Carly, and I said, I was telling Mark when we hung up, Jen and I can be on a deserted island and we'd be fine.
100%.
Yes. Never nothing to say from our childhood. This.
We'd never run out of things to talk about.
No.
Honestly, I think it's because we've known each other so long, and our lives have been so parallel that it's almost like referring back to our own childhood. Like I could talk about my own life forever, and you could talk about your own life forever. We could talk about our life together because it was basically the same life.
Yeah.
I mean, we did have a very similar everything, and we lived 2 streets away from each other since we were 7 years old.
Do you remember we learned how to ride bikes with no hands on you called it the Holly Hobby bike.
It was a Holly Hobby
I
bike.
think there was a bee on it. I think there was a bee, and in my head, when you drove fast, it would zzz, but I don't know. In my head, I see that.
Well, I think there
Right.
was. I think there
Holly
was,
Hobby.
and I think I can even picture the bee. It was like
Yes,
right. It was like
artsy.
flying like that.
Yeah.
But it did have the banana seat. It had the banana
Yes.
seat. Do you remember that?
And we had matching Dorothy Hamill haircuts.
And I also literally remember making mud pies with you.
Yes, in the gutter. That was
in the gutter.
Didn't you get in trouble was it your cousin? Someone was babysitting you or something, but I remember something.
That is so funny.
Coming in muddy.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't even remember how we got off on that. But I was just saying that I'm really bummed about Ben and Jen splitting up. But I was watching that Kevin Hart. I walked in and I'm like, what's this? And Kevin Hart had Ben Affleck on. And he's a really engaging guy, right? He's a really smart, dynamic guy. And he's talking and he's telling a story about how the whole family, him and Jen and their blended crew, were in New York. You didn't hear this?
No.
Oh, well, get this. And now, mind you, the Affleck kids are very kind of they're intellectuals. You know what I mean? They are.
The daughter was just
they are very heady. And I know that I had heard Ben and Jennifer Garner talking about how their kids aren't impressed by the fact that they're celebrities, and their kids like almost like poo-poo the celebrity life. And you know what I mean? I get it. And they want to talk about more important causes. So imagine feeling like that when your parents are Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, right? Just on that level, like making fun of them because they're movie stars. Now your dad marries J-Lo, right? And so this is how the story went. They were all going to see a Broadway show in New York. There was crazy traffic. They didn't think they were going to get there in time. So Ben's like, hey, why don't we all just get out and walk the last couple blocks? And everybody was game for that. But as soon as Jen got out of the car, everybody clamored around her, and it made it almost impossible for them to pass. And Violet Affleck, the one that spoke the other day, said to her dad, like looked up and said, when your stepmom's J-Lo, or like something like issues you have when your stepmom is J-Lo.
right.
Right. And I just feel like Ben, if he was wrestling with Jennifer's celebrity already, you know what I mean? And that was a point of contention for him, to then have your daughter, who you know is already sensitive about that stuff, to say something like that when your stepmom is J-Lo. I just think that could have been the dagger in, you know, in him, like,
it added.
This is really, now it's affecting my kids. You know what I mean? Now it's not just
coffin.
me. Yeah, exactly. Like it was just that nail in the coffin. So it's a shame. I mean, kids can be judgy. I just feel bad for Jennifer. Like she is who she is. You know what I mean? She is who she is. And it's they want people to be so tolerant of everybody else. Well, you kind of have to be tolerant of who she is too then.
Right.
Right? That's who she is. That doesn't make her a bad person. That's just she's walking through life differently than you, and that's okay.
Yeah, sad to see that end.
So anyway, another dream dead. Then did you also hear that Rachel Leviss, speaking of Rachel Leviss again, she is taking Tom and Ariana back to court for more PORN revenge. Apparently they have a court date and everything, November 3rd.
Wow.
They're going to be going to court. I mean, unless something happens between now and then, which it very well can. I had a court date a few days ago. I had a court date for a jury trial, and now I don't. So I'm excited about it.
Your mom sent me a message on Facebook.
Oh, okay, yeah. So speaking of, I was just gonna say, are we okay? Now we're moving on to shit my mom says on Facebook. And do you have something to share with us today?
Okay, so I wanted to share it on 4th of July, but I was gone. On June 29th at 5:25 p.m., your mom sent me a message on Facebook.
Can I just wait. I just want to tell you before you go. My mom has been calling me so much lately just to tell me how impressed she is with you. And, I just never knew how funny Christy is. You know, she keeps saying to me, Christy is really funny, isn't she? And I'm like, yeah. She
Yeah.
goes, I just never knew. I just never knew how funny Christy was. She's very clever, isn't she? I just never knew how clever Christy is. And I
I
said, well,
am true.
I'll be sure to tell her. So
I
please,
am.
please
And
share with us.
so I don't know what, when I saw it, the story was already gone. But the message that I got from her is in all capital letters,
Oh my God.
FMCG.
What?
Exactly. So I'm like, fuck, I'm like, what is FMCG? That was it. So I don't know. And then July 2nd at 1:48 a.m., she replied to another story and wrote, wow, exclamation point, really classy, exclamation point. I don't know what I would have posted. And I'm seeing these after stories are gone, so I don't know what she's replying to. But
That is absolutely hilarious.
yeah, so the I'm going to ask her when we're at the house, maybe. No, I don't want to know. FMCG, all caps. So anyway.
FMCG.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see if by chance she'll answer the phone, see if she remembers it.
Ooh, also, Summer House is filming and they have a new girl named Lexi Wood. Look her up on Instagram.
Why?
Because she's look and see who she is. She's like a Lala. Like she's very, post and this and da da da.
Oh. Watch this.
It reminds me of Lala.
Hey mom, you want to give me a call back? What were the letters?
FMCG, all capital.
Christy and I are wondering what your comment was that you left her, just the letters FMCG. Okay, capital F, capital M, capital C, capital G.
A message on Facebook.
What in God's name did that mean, Mom? Okay, thank you. Bye. I'm telling you something. It is so great. I have had so many people when I don't say any names, but when I gave that example of what she said last week, my comments were so cute. People like, I have a whole text thread with my siblings about
my Brianna, who I was with in Truckee, wants to also write what her mother does.
Yeah, tell her to come up with her mom's greatest hits. We'll have her on and she can share.
Her mom, Helga's a gem. Ugh.
So for anybody out there whose mom says this kind of crazy shit on Facebook, please make sure you leave us a comment and let us know what it is. Because seriously, I'm going to just start compiling them. I'm going to get a list and we'll just go down the line.
Yeah.
That'll be great. And I'll read them off. So I'll read yours off. So be sure you send them in.
Yes. Love that.
Does Barbie say crazy shit? She's not on social media, right?
She's on Instagram, but she likes everything. I'm like, how do you know I'll be, reels pop up and it says baseball. Like my mom likes things. And I went, okay.
Right.
No, she just says crazy shit to me, I think.
Well,
I think she's an over explainer.
That's a mother's prerogative.
Right.
Okay, darling. So, we had a big premiere last night.
Season 16, right?
So good.
So good.
So good. I mean, first episodes, just
out of the gate.
Out of the gate. It opens with just flashing back to Shannon last season and just how hairy that whole situation was. And not to come down on Shannon, but did you see that reunion about just poor girl? She was just such a wreck back then. It's no surprise that 7 days later or whatever it was.
And 10 days after the reunion, she's in her DUI hit and run accident.
And she said that we got the details straight from her mouth, that she went over to John's, probably already buzzed. He said, "You're drunk. Don't get back in the car."
He called her a drunken idiot.
He's not wrong. And sorry, quite frankly, she'd been acting like a drunken idiot for for years. That's why the whole thing with Shannon is just so upsetting with me. And just this whole show of her. Shannon has so much more that she needs to address on a deeper level. So she can say whatever she wants. Oh, now when I'm feeling this way, I don't go and drink. Now I practice breathing. But the fact of the matter is, she's still not dealing with the root of her issue.
Right. She's saying she's sick of people. She says, I'm sick. This is when she was in her confessional in the blue dress. I'm sick of people saying I'm the drunk that needs help. I am not. I had a really bad night. And then she says, I got to walk out. I'm ruining my makeup.
I know. But it wasn't a very bad night. It was a way of life. Drinking for her is a way of life. She didn't have a really bad night. This is a way of life. And we've been watching this unfold for seasons. I mean, since the beginning, since she was with the old ex-husband. I mean, it was no different. She was a wreck back then.
Yeah.
And she really, it's like Shannon to me is the ultimate manipulator. She really is.
Totally.
She's smart and she knows what to say and she knows how to present. And she's really a master.
Yeah, I see that.
She truthfully is. And I think she was raised that way. I mean, Shannon's always been rooted in everything fake. I mean, she was like a debutante. You know what I mean? It was all about the show and not about substance. It's all about the show. She still doesn't know who she is. And that's why she hangs on to those poor kids so much, because that's the only thing she has left. She used to be somebody's daughter. Then she was somebody's, wife. And then she was John's girlfriend. And now she's their mom. But who are you? You strip that all away. Who the hell are you, Shannon? That's what I want to ask her. Who are you? She couldn't give you an answer. She couldn't give you an answer.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly.
Anyway, so the show, then the show basically opens with Emily getting a butt massage from her husband, who's very, I feel like, ass obsessed. I feel like there's always some kind of like butt play that those two have going.
I love Shane.
Am I hallucinating his obsession with her ass? It's a constant, like, not for nothing, but like they're talking about ass play a lot.
Well, then it goes to Tamra and Eddie, and she has a cock ring, and he has those leg massager things on, and she's
I'm sorry. I had to turn away. I was grossing out.
The sex is disgusting. It's like,
especially, I mean, it was gross when they were both
in the bathtub.
It was gross then. Now I don't need to see. I don't need to see it now.
Tries to talk about.
We all know that aging sex isn't what young sex used to be. Please don't make me watch it.
Exactly. And don't pretend, Tamra. Yeah. So that was lame.
I think Tamra in real life knows it. She has said it. I've heard her on Two T's in the Pod saying that, it's not what it once was. And clearly we saw that.
Yeah.
Clearly we saw that. That's so funny. I have a note here. Then we're in that weird sexual thing with Tamra and Eddie.
Yeah.
Then Tamra, Emily, and Jen, Jen with the two N's. That's what I call her. Jen, they're in
the gym.
Jen, they go to the gym. That's when they brought up Tres Amigas, and she said that she bowed out because she didn't think it was a good look. And that's when she was also telling them that at the one Tres Amigas show that they did do afterwards, she saw Shannon sneaking vodka into her Diet Coke.
Right. And so, yeah. And they're saying, and then Tamara says, well, Alexis wasn't with Jim when they're talking about the suing, that Tamara says, I made up with Alexis at BravoTV. Right. And Alexis was not with Jim when, Jim Bellino sued Shannon and Tamara. And then Tamara says that this is Shannon's karma, having God put Jim Bellino, John Jansen with Shannon, because that's your karma.
Well, I don't really call it karma. I call it another example. Like I always say, the universe whispers. Like Shannon had a million whispers from the universe, and then it gives you a little nudge, and then it gives you a little another nudge. And then when you still aren't paying attention, it will come and it will knock you the hell out. And then when you still have your head up your ass, it will do something even more obvious, like bring Alexis Bellino into your life. And it's trying to shake her and wake her out of that delusional slumber that she's been in for so long.
Right.
Speaking of that lawsuit, weren't you shocked to hear the actual amount that Jim Bellino got from those two?
300,000 from Shannon, 500,000 from Tamra.
So you're telling me Jim Bellino walked away with $800,000 because they talk shit about him?
Yeah. Hopefully Cheryl doesn't sue me.
That is wild, man. That it really is wild. Oh, then did you see when Shannon was sitting when Shannon
daughters?
Yes, when Shannon was sitting with her daughters?
Yeah. It the one
I mean, there's a lot.
There was a lot. The one daughter that was sitting in the chair. So one's sitting next to her, and then there's the two daughters here. The one that was to the left, she just kept looking away like, God, Mom, you know, her physical reactions to what Shannon was saying was, you know, Shannon's talking about, I'm sorry I didn't take you to college, you know, because of her DUI, she couldn't go off and visit. And so the one daughter says, the one that's sitting over here, the blonder
one. Yeah.
She says, it seems that you're taking more initiative than why things happened in your life, Mom, and why certain people that you kept, why having things that happened in your life and why you were keeping certain people in your life. So she's taking more of initiative of why, instead of what should I do to improve?
And I think the daughter was talking about the John Jansen of it all. You know what I mean? And why she kept going back to John Jansen and having him in his life, in her life. But Shannon turned it around and made it about her friends. Did you see?
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep certain people in my life.
Yeah, no one's checked up on me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Those girls clearly know that their mom has an issue.
Oh, yeah. The way
I think they're being as supportive as they can. I don't know. She's not putting them in a good position.
No, and they're probably happy to go back to school, and their mother told everybody what schools and what grade they were in, which I thought, oh God, we really need to, does the world need to know where your daughters really are?
It's just a shame that those girls have to be away at college worrying about their mom.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know they are. You can't have a mom in that condition that you care about and not be away at school worried.
Right.
Yeah, Shannon says, kind of seeing who my true friends are. Who her true friends are. She needs to learn how to be a friend to herself.
Right, yeah.
Stop depending on everybody else to prop her up, like her dear friend Jeff Lewis. I swear to you, I remember when they became friends. I mean, have I not told you this before? The way I feel like they met each other casually, and next thing you know, she's on like a podcast or something, calling him her best friend, and then suddenly he's in that best friend loop. Oh, she thinks we're best friends, so now I got to show up as a best friend. That's part of her manipulation because she's smart and clever like that. So she will like loop people in. Oh no, we're great friends. And if you're great friends with someone, then you can't tell the truth about them because that's not what great friends do.
She was on his show last week. He likes to push her buttons, and I love it.
I love it.
She's so dramatic.
She has so many buttons, and her buttons are so easily pushed. That's
so
the
many
thing.
Buttons.
I mean, and she's just so reactive. Yeah, because that's because she, once again, she doesn't know who the shit she is. And so when you say this, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Oh, I'm not. When you know who you are, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks because you know who you are. She doesn't.
Like drinking game. Take a drink every time Shannon cries on the OC. She cries too much.
It's hilarious. She says that she went to a wellness program for a month and she's still seeing a therapist. I mean, but everybody should be in a wellness program for a month. You know what I mean? Like healthy people should be in wellness. That's not enough for her.
Yeah. Well, she told her lawyer or whoever it was that she went to an alcohol. She's in an alcohol program also and volunteers at the church and the thrift store.
Yeah. She needs to be in a self-love program. Okay, so then we're at dinner with Jen and
Brian,
who I like to call West Coast Louie. I mean, do you not see the similarity between those two jokers?
And he's got some dirty shit happening behind the scenes.
Dude, the dirtiest. That whole
player
I
and
mean, it was major.
the illegal, the gambling and all that. They walk in and he says, "Are you going to have a drink tonight?" And she says, "Yeah." And he says, "Good, because you know where I'm going to take you later? Downtown."
Okay, I mean,
Gross. Gross.
but I mean, he's just so cheesy.
Cheesy.
He is the cheesiest dude. I mean, you find him at the cheese counter. Oh my God. Anyway, she goes on to say that that house that we saw her in last year is no longer hers,
Right.
and that her ex-husband is no longer paying her rent, and now
and he was only paying half of the rent, and it got behind $24,000, and she's getting evicted.
Yeah, so not that first house though. She said that they moved out of that one and then got them a new house, but the new house they're getting evicted out of because over $20,000 is, I mean, that's
and her ex-husband is not working for the family anymore.
And so she makes $50 an hour of $50.
Yeah, and she says to Ryan, "And I just feel bad about having you and my dad bail me out."
Well, she'd feel worse if they weren't. I can tell you that. Yeah. You might feel bad, but you don't feel as bad as you would if they weren't bailing you out.
Yeah.
And then Ryan says, "Why don't you just come and live with me?" And she's like, "I just don't know. I just don't know." But I mean,
and he's like, "Quit fighting it. Just let things go the way they're supposed to. You always go to the negative, you know." He's an actor. He's very like this.
He is 100% an actor, but also now we know that, I mean, he acts like he has all this money. Where all the money that he's floating her and paying for her rent, where's that coming from?
Gambling.
His shady shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly.
He's so shady. It just comes off that guy.
Yes, the hashtag not engaged, hashtag promised.
Promised. Yes, promised it. How old are they?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a promise ring?
I think so, from Tim.
Oh my God, that's so cute. You still have it?
No, who knows? I could see it in my head. Gold with 3 little diamonds.
Oh, that's so cute. I'm sure his wife would love to hear that.
Oh, yeah.
And then right after that, Alexis says, "November 18th is the day that John Jansen walked into my life. I met John at Quiet Woman. Shannon does not own the Quiet Woman. I've been going there for over 2 decades. But anywho, John walks in and ends up sitting at my booth. We tried to fight the feelings, but after 2 weeks, John and I knew that was it. I don't know Shannon. I'm not friends with Shannon. And unfortunately, your heart wants what it wants. And here we are. Take us or leave us."
Yes, that was I can't believe it. The Quiet Woman.
I was dying. And then Alexis comes hard for Emily about what she heard Emily say on 2Ts.
Yeah, she said, she says, "Why are you calling him a doucher?"
Yeah. Yeah, Emily called him a doucher. And Alexis says that unfortunately that really hurt her feelings. Unfortunately, that really hurt my feelings. And then she asked Emily where she got her information from. And Emily's like, "What are you talking about, sis? I've been there. I was there. I know."
And then she says, and she knows what Emily says is, "I know what Shannon told me. He never gave her money and blah, blah, blah." And then Alexis says, "Do you trust a drunk?"
Do you trust a drunk? I mean, I don't trust Shannon Medora as far as I can throw her, but also I'm not going to trust your HOD opinion, and HOD stands for high on dick, because that's clearly what she is. Am I supposed to take her opinion blindly? She's only known him for what, a month at this point?
Exactly. And she's telling him, give him a chance. Johnny J, that's what I call him.
He's my Johnny J.
Johnny J. And then Heather says, "Oh, I love a rebrand. It's just like when mayo turned into aioli."
I loved that. That was so great. That was honestly hilarious. Yeah, she says, give him a chance. When you get to know him, I promise you're going to love him as much as I do.
Right.
Love him as much as I do. You hardly even...
I know.
You hardly know him. And truthfully, at that point, all of those women did know John better than she did.
Yeah. They've
I
all
mean,
been
maybe not his private parts, but they have all spent plenty of time with John. And they have all seen the way John's interacted with Shannon. So anyway, I mean, maybe they are a better couple. People are like chemicals. You know what I mean? Maybe they are.
John together, Shannon would just every time. I said, God, who would? Ugh.
No. Then we're at the attorney's office with Shannon, and he tells Shannon that if she does everything right, that he can get her case dismissed. And that Shannon, like being Shannon, says, well, that's nice, but I really want to accept responsibility and I don't want any special favors. She doesn't want any special favors and she wants to accept responsibility. What's she supposed to say? I mean, she is doing nothing but trying to repair her image, and she doesn't want this expunged from her record. She doesn't want it dismissed. I don't buy it for a second. She doesn't want any special favors.
And then it shows Shannon being the hypocrite when she's with Kelly Dodd at the restaurant, and she's telling her, I would never get a DUI, or talking about.
Well, that's the beauty of Shannon. She extends no one any grace. She's remember how hard she came down on Gina for that whole DUI situation, and how she brought it up every opportunity that she had.
Last season, it was just,
it's all she could talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Gina is like,
right. I mean, they almost took her kids away.
An eye for an eye.
And that's another lesson from the universe. Like when something like this happens to you, that's when you're supposed to do some introspection and be like, wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, maybe I was being a bitch. Maybe I was being a judgmental bitch. I swear to you, my life didn't start really changing and shifting and becoming what it is today until I realized that I used to be nothing but a judgmental bitch. Truthfully, when you realize that you are just projecting everything outward and judging everyone because you don't have the courage to be honest about yourself, that's when shit starts to change. But she's just not there yet.
Yeah, you point one finger at someone else, there's three pointing back at you.
Yeah, exactly. Then Tamara takes her daughter to get a tattoo. Her daughter, who is now 18 and can finally appear on the show because her dad can't say no.
This is Sophia.
Yes, this is Sophia.
So as they're at the tattoo parlor, Tamara says that she'd like to get the 111
the
tattoo.
Angel numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Because every time I see it, I wish that your sister would come back.
Sydney would come home. Yeah.
And then
I mean, that's a heartbreak. Every time Tamara talks about this, it just breaks my heart because that stuff can just happen so easily, and it's just, I mean, brutal. Can you imagine just having your kid live, a few blocks away and just
like she's dead but she's alive?
I mean, devastating.
I also heard Tamara say that her daughter Sophia, you'll watch her come to life more as the season goes on because she was very, timid.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's her first time on camera.
Yeah, and Tamara's asking her, do you want to talk about your dad? Sophia says, I don't want to talk about this. And Tamara, she keeps opening up a lot about things that are going on inside her to her daughter. And Sophia says to her, or Tamara says, I have a million things going on in my head. And she says, well, can you keep them there, Mom? Or talk to your therapist about that, because I'm not your therapist.
I think a lot of kids get put in that position
as they get older. Yeah.
It is hard for a parent because you don't want to tell everybody, your stuff, but in the next breath, you can't be burdening your kids with it.
Yeah. And they get older and smarter also to say what she said. Tell it to your therapist.
Then Gina sits down with her man over lunch to discuss their split. And Travis is clearly bummed about it.
Well, yeah, he's trying to start this family with her. And she says, his baggage is too much for her to deal with. His ex-wife is just dragging him. And she says, when they first got together, that the kids were little. Now the kids are older. They're living in a small house, and it's too emotionally and physically. So she wants to have a split with him.
Right. So we're not sure if she is outgrowing just the house or outgrowing the relationship as a whole. She very well could be outgrowing that relationship as a whole, but could this just be a ruse? Because this does juice up her storyline quite a bit. Like, what would Gina's storyline be if it wasn't for this split? Like, I mean, this fully could be exactly what's happening in her life, but this also could be just to keep things juicy in her world so that she doesn't lose her spot. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it's very possible. I mean, because they could easily stage this split, right? Just to keep things.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's,
I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying that it's possible.
I know it's possible is right.
I'm just saying it's possible. And I like, if they end up back together in another 6 months from now, then I would say that this probably was just to keep, keep the
Her
hook.
on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to keep things interesting.
Yeah. Crazier things have happened.
She said while they were sitting down at that table that she doesn't want the kids to think they're breaking up. But they are breaking up, right? I mean, if you're out.
And Travis says, we're the adults, we make the decisions. The kids have to live with our decision. So
we will see. Yeah, then everybody's getting ready for the big party. And Jen with two N's was getting ready. And I couldn't help but sit there and think she has these extensions down to here, which, hello, newsflash, are not cheap.
yeah.
And she has someone doing her makeup. And I'm just sitting there thinking,
I know.
She's basically saying that she can't pay rent. Also, I'm curious about the $50 for the yoga class. Is she herself making $50 to do the yoga class? Or is that $50 from each person that takes it? Because
because I have a girlfriend that works at a gym, and every class she teaches, she gets paid an extra. She works at the gym, you get an hourly wage. Then when you teach classes, you get paid more.
But Jen with two N's is like part owner of this situation. Right. So she, I'm assuming, does not get an hourly rate. She's just getting paid per class. She said that. But I'm just curious. She said, I get paid $50 per class, but is it per client?
People aren't going to pay $50 a class.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So
no, it's a class.
So how in God's name is anyone supposed to live a life in Orange County? I mean, I don't even know where in this country you could make $50. Like, what is that? Once a day? How many classes does she do? So
exactly, she's teaching all day. No wonder she's so fit.
You'd have to be teaching literally from morning till night, and then maybe from night until morning to make a living that would sustain a life in California, at least.
Right. Well, Shannon says that she's going to the party because she doesn't want to appear weak.
Once again, Shannon, all about appearances.
And you see the appearance, you see the dress that she chose to wear. She laid in the car. She got in the car and had to lay like this the whole way because she didn't want it to wrinkle. She kept saying it. No seatbelt, laying down. And so Gina picks up the new girl, Kate, who is friends with Sutton.
Yes.
And she met Gina because Sutton told her, get a hold of my friend Gina and she'll help you with real estate. And so they're the same age. So Gina's very excited to have Kate. She said when she met Heather Dubrow, Heather said, Kate said, oh, I've met you before through Sutton. And she goes, oh, that's right. Heather says this, and Heather says, and she always has such nice things to say about you. Cut to Kate's in the confessional saying, yeah, I've met her before. This is the first time she chose to say hello to me. You know, it's true.
But I will say, just from my own personal experience, that I personally think that Heather is a peach.
Yeah, I like Heather.
She is a very sweet person. She genuinely is.
So Tamara shows up and she's saying hi to everyone. She hugs Emily, her nylons rip. And then Heather says, would you like me to send someone out to get you another pair of nylons or some hose? You hoe. Heather.
I think it's hilarious that people are even wearing nylons. Like, yeah, I didn't even know that nylons still existed.
Yeah, the dark ones are back in, like the black ones, like Heather or Tamara was wearing. People are wearing them.
So the ones like we used to get in the egg?
Yeah. They're back. And then so now Emily is there drinking her espresso martini, and she spits it back into her glass because Heather had these gelatin 20
I saw. Yes.
turns to.
Yes. A loogie. Yeah, that's what she called it.
Yeah, and she spits it back in and she goes, well, I guess I'll drink it because I do drink after my dog, so she wasn't afraid to finish her martini. And then now Tamara's asking Emily, tell us about your lunch with Shannon.
Oh, right.
Emily says she says she's having a 2-drink minimum because Heather says, isn't she sober?
Yeah.
So
yeah, Shannon's not ready to stop drinking.
But she is ready to show up to this party and slide. She slid out of the car in her dress. She slid like this.
And then she was ready to go and be the one to confront Alexis. She was like, I'm just gonna knock this awkward energy out of the room. It's like she's just so funny. She really thinks that she has like an argument to present to Alexis, but you really don't. You know what I mean? Why are we still focusing on that court case that was so long ago? Why are we still looking in the rear view mirror and so far back in the rear view mirror? Just because she's desperate to build some argument about why she can't like her. But
right. She's telling her, well, before she confronts her, she goes to Emily and says that she's sorry, or Gina, and apologizes for, dragging her about the DUI and tries to make good with Gina. And then she says to Gina, I think I'm going to go talk to Alexis and bring her outside. And Gina says, that's so brave of you.
Yeah, that's so brave of you.
And then she marches out. She says, she goes up to Alexis and brings her outside. And then they go in the shade to the corner. And she says to Alexis, I need to talk. She goes, hi. And then she says, I don't want to get into a deep conversation about this. And then she goes into the lawsuit accusing Alexis of, sending her an email and having Alexis's signature on the email. And Alexis says, I wasn't even with Jim when he sent you this. I hadn't been with him for 6
months. Yeah. And what about the fact that those two dinglings picked up that table and were like
dragging the table,
dragging the aluminum table, and all the other women are inside going, what's happening? What's happening?
Right. Yeah, Shannon was doing it first with her water, and then Alexis says, here, let me help you.
I almost feel like Shannon didn't have a choice in this instance. If she was going to go up, you know what I mean? This is the chick that is now with her ex. She might as well be the first to confront it. Somebody has to knock, you know what I mean? Someone has to first.
Someone has to say something. And that's when and then she says to her, I'm not interested in being, Shannon says to Alexis, I'm not interested in being your best buddy. I hope you can understand that. And then now it's Alexis's turn to speak. And she says, well, I'm not interested in, she says, I don't want to be your best buddy. Shannon starts butting in, and Alexis says, I let you speak, let me speak. And then Shannon, you're so angry. Everyone always says that. No, we're not angry. I'm just telling you, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Listen here. And so she tells Shannon, dig up my signature and show me the proof of what you have. Show me the letter, Shannon. She says, I think the real issue here is that I have your ex-boyfriend and you're never getting $1 from me. Move on. And there's the door. Shannon, the door. That was awesome. And walks away. And then Shannon looks at the camera and says, perfect.
I know. The perfect of it all. There's Shannon breaking the fourth wall again, because that is Shannon. That's her new thing. She loves to break the fourth wall. Perfect.
Yeah, it was a great first episode and I'm excited. It's back.
I am so excited. I have not been this excited about OC in a long time.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And Vicky, we get pretend gagging Vicky. Can we talk about that? When she gags, it's all for show.
It's all for show.
It's not real. It's ridiculous.
I'm glad you brought Vicky up, because truthfully, about halfway through this episode, I found myself very consciously thinking, oh, I'm so happy that I don't have to look at Vicky.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's going to be in a scene, and she does have a new podcast. It's called, did you tell me?
Yes.
With my number one fan.
Yes. I have not listened to it yet. Have you?
No, and I won't. Don't make me do that.
Speaking of, have you done yourself any favors and listened to Turning the Tables?
No, no, no.
It
I was
is.
Teresa free I was New Jersey free this week, which also was weird. It was like, I thought I didn't record it. And then on Monday, I'm like, did I miss New Jersey? What, do we even know why it wasn't on? Was it because of the holiday?
I don't know.
Anyways, well, happy Friday. Happy weekend.
All right, darling, that's a great start to a new season. And next week we will have Jersey and OC to talk about.
Yep, looking
So
forward.
that will be exciting. Hopefully, we're gonna get. We'll work in a big shit your mom says on Facebook next week, because I'm gonna start collecting them and writing them down. So if Cheryl says anything, make sure you take note. Make sure you take note of what your mom says. Make sure you share it with us. Send me a message. Leave it in the comments, because we are making this a bigger segment, because everyone can relate to what it's like to have parents. A mother. Yes.
A mother.
Exactly. All right, babe, tell everybody where they can find you.
Christy May's Garage on Instagram.
This is the Succulent Queen, everybody.
I am. I have a huge job at eBay next week. Class, doing planters. Yeah. Busy.
Amazing. Busy. So proud of you. All right, babe. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too.
Okay. Anyway, you guys, we are moving on to the question and answer portion of the pod. But before we do, I just wanted to take a minute to thank you guys and thank everyone that reached out and sent their condolences on the year anniversary of my dad's death. So many of you were with me last year when my dad and my beloved dog died within a week of each other. And it was just such a hard time. And so many comments and so many people in there talking about their own experiences. And I just want to tell you how much genuinely it all touched my spirit and really helped me navigate through a really rough week. I had no idea how rough the anniversary of my dad's passing would be, but your guys' well wishes and thoughts made it all feel a whole lot lighter. So thank you so, so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Okay, now for questions and answers. Our first question today is from Abigail, who says, Dear Jen, did you hear Teresa's recent comments about Louie going on one-on-one dates with her daughters? I think it's gross, dying to know your thoughts. And I just have to tell you, I don't really think it's gross that Louie goes on one-on-one dates. I mean, to call it a date is weird, but to like hang out with the girls individually, I don't think that's weird. To call it a date is a little weird, but what Louie's really trying to do with these dates or this time that he's spending with them is just trying to forge his relationship with them to make it stronger, because he knows that his relationship with Teresa is only as strong as his relationship with her girls, because the relationship that Teresa has with her girls is the strongest of all, right? So he knows that he needs to be a part of that, because he can't be the weak link in that. So he is constantly trying to reinforce and strengthen those relationships, right? Because the minute one of those girls says to their mom, Louie's this or Louie's that, it's going to shake his entire foundation. And he wants to make sure that they are good, because he doesn't want them in their mom's ear. That's the last thing he wants. He wants to give those girls no reason to not like him, because he knows that they are the linchpin, that the minute that the girls don't like him, the rest of the world could hate Louie and Teresa will stand by his side. But the moment that one of those girls turns on Louie, Louie is on shaky ground, and he knows that. So he is doing everything he can to keep himself in safe standing with all of them. Okay, our next question is from Brenda, who says, Dear Jen, given your own history with addiction, do you think Shannon has to stop drinking completely, or do you think her current 2-drink maximum approach to drinking is enough? Shannon, here's what I have to say about Shannon. Shannon's 2-drink maximum rule that she has going for herself right now is a complete crock of shit. Shannon has a lot of work to do. She is nowhere close to being healed. Shannon wants to say that she doesn't have a problem, but she clearly does have a problem, and she's clearly had a problem actually, since we met, I talked about this with Christy earlier. Shannon has had an issue for a very long time, but Shannon's problem, just like everyone who deals with addiction, is much deeper than the drinking. So she drinks to deal with what's happening deep inside of her, right? So for those of you who don't know, I spent most of my life hating drugs, judging people that did them. And then one day in my mid-30s, I accidentally fell into an opiate pain pill addiction, and it nearly cost me my life. It was the hardest experience that I'd ever been through, but truthfully, the greatest experience of my life, because through that process, I came to know my true self. I came to address and heal the underlying pain that caused that. Through my addiction and my own healing, I learned about my own self-worth, which was something that I was void of before that. I pretended I was really good at, I knew how to play the part, very much like Shannon. I knew how to present confidently, but inside there was a crisis of confidence, right? And so I was just a bunch of bluster, just basically like Shannon is. So it's very obvious for me to see that Shannon is just putting on a show, that she's dealing with all kinds of internal emotional pain, and she has been for years. So the point, like when it comes to sobriety, the most important thing is that your spirit is sober. I don't think Shannon is anywhere near where she needs to be. I genuinely think that Shannon needs to take some time and go and reevaluate, because she needs clarity. She needs to figure out who she is outside of that drunken bubble that she spends so much time in. At this point, Shannon doesn't need to be drinking. There may be a time after she changes her relationship with her life that she can reintroduce alcohol, because she'll have a different relationship with alcohol. She won't be using it for the same reasons, right? And that's the thing. Once you have shifted inside and once you have found your self-worth, it does change everything. I've never craved an opiate once in 12 years. Not once. The key to Shannon's better future is getting her spirit sober. She needs to peel away all those layers of who she's always thought she was and find out who she is at her essence and come to peace with that person. And then once she does, her whole world will change. But the truth of the matter is, you can't begin the healing process until you admit that you really have a problem. And we heard Shannon just last night talking about how she doesn't have a problem, that it was just a bad night. But it wasn't just a bad night. But that doesn't mean there's not hope for Shannon, because I'm telling you something. Truthfully, you guys, you can come out of your deepest, darkest days, I promise you, and create a future for you that is so much better than anything that you ever dreamed of. And I know this because I did it. So regardless of where you are in life, I promise you, things can and will get better as long as you root yourself in the right stuff. Anyway, you guys, that about does it for this episode of Generally Speaking. I have loved spending this time with you. If you've been watching this on YouTube, please make sure you reach out and smash that subscribe button right now. If you've been listening to us on any of the other streaming platforms, please make sure you hit that follow button, leave a comment, give us a 5-star rating. We would love that. Share us with your family, share us with your friends. If you'd like to follow me on socials, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking, on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. If you'd like to collaborate or want to ask me a question that you'd like answered on the pod, you can reach me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. If you want to get your hands on some of this cute Generally Speaking merch, I will leave the link below in the description. I hope you have the best weekend, and I hope you carve out a little time to do something for yourself this weekend. And until we are together again, stay rooted in love. Take care, everybody.